In the heart of Kansas City during the Great Depression, room 1046 at the President Hotel became the setting for a perplexing and gruesome murder that continues to baffle investigators and armchair detectives to this day. The story of this murder unfolds as a web of intrigue, misidentity, and unanswered questions. It was a bitter winter evening on January 6, 1935, when a man, later known as Roland T. Owen, arrived at the President Hotel in downtown Kansas City. The city, like the rest of the nation, was in the grip of the Great Depression, and the President Hotel offered affordable accommodation for travelers, both transient and long-term. The man's arrival was unassuming, and he seemed like any other guest checking into a hotel room. However, there were peculiarities that caught the attention of the hotel staff. He registered under a false name, Roland T. Owen, and provided limited information about himself. No permanent address, no known associates, and no indication of the purpose of his visit. He paid in cash for his room, further obscuring his identity. Owen's luggage was minimal, consisting of only a small toiletry kit and a brush. He appeared disheveled and somewhat unkempt, giving the impression of a man on the run or facing personal troubles. He declined the bellman's assistance with his bags, insisting on carrying them himself. This self-reliance would become characteristic of his brief stay at the hotel. Upon checking in, Owen was assigned room 1046 on the 10th floor of the hotel. It was a modest room with a single bed and basic amenities. The hotel staff noted that he requested that the shades in his room be kept drawn, even during the daytime, and that his room remain dimly lit. This peculiar preference for darkness would raise questions among the hotel staff as the days went by. Throughout his stay, Owen seldom ventured out of his room. He seemed to be living in constant fear or apprehension. Hotel employees who interacted with him noted that he was jittery and uneasy, as if he were watching over his shoulder. He had a habit of locking his door from the inside, adding to the impression that he was trying to protect himself from some unseen threat. These early observations set the stage for the eerie events that would unfold in room 1046 over the next few days. The mystery surrounding Roland T. Owen's true identity and the reasons for his stay deepened as hotel staff and investigators would soon discover. As Roland T. Owen settled into room 1046 at the President Hotel, his peculiar behavior continued to perplex both hotel staff and fellow guests. His stay took an unsettling turn as the days passed, with a series of oddities that added to the growing mystery surrounding him. 1. Refusal of maid service. One of the first peculiarities noted by the hotel staff was Owen's adamant refusal of maid service. Despite the hotel's standard practice of daily room cleaning and fresh linens, he insisted that no one enter his room while he was there. This behavior intensified the impression that he was hiding something or was deeply paranoid. 2. Constant darkness. Owen's request to keep the room shrouded in darkness persisted. He not only kept the shades drawn, but also used only a single dim lamp to illuminate his room. This aversion to light was unusual and contributed to the eerie atmosphere surrounding room 1046. 3. Limited social interaction. Owen was rarely seen leaving his room, and when he did, he avoided contact with other guests. He seemed to be deliberately isolating himself, further fueling speculation that he was fleeing from something or someone. 4. Unexplained late-night departures. On several occasions, hotel guests reported hearing Owen leave his room in the middle of the night. He would return in the early hours, and these nocturnal departures added to the sense of unease among those staying nearby. No one knew where he went during these late-night excursions, and he offered no explanations when questioned. 5. Lack of visitors. Unlike most hotel guests, who might have friends or acquaintances visit them during their stay, Owen received no visitors. He appeared to be entirely alone in room 1046, with no indication of anyone visiting or contacting him. 6. Anxiety and paranoia. Owen's demeanor was marked by constant anxiety and paranoia. He frequently peeked through his window blinds as if watching for someone or something outside. His agitated state was evident in his interactions with hotel staff, who found it increasingly challenging to engage him in conversation. These strange behaviors left hotel staff and fellow guests deeply unsettled. It was as if room 1046 held some dark secret, and Owen was determined to protect it at all costs. Little did anyone know that the most disturbing events were yet to unfold, ultimately culminating in a shocking and gruesome discovery that would forever cement the room's notoriety in true crime history. As Roland T. Owen's stay in room 1046 progressed, the atmosphere around him grew increasingly unsettling. What began as strange behavior took a darker turn with a series of disturbing phone calls that emanated from his room. These calls sent shockwaves through the hotel, leaving both guests and staff in a state of dread. 1. Screams and arguments. It was on the night of January 3, 1935, that the first signs of trouble emerged. Guests in neighboring rooms reported hearing blood-curdling screams, violent arguments, and pleas for help emanating from room 1046. The commotion was so distressing that it prompted several of them to contact the hotel management. 2. Mysterious phone calls. Hotel staff, concerned for the well-being of the guest in room 1046, decided to investigate the source of these disturbing sounds. When they arrived at Owen's room, they found him on the telephone. The strange part was that he offered no coherent explanation for the distressing phone calls. When asked about the screams and arguments, he simply dismissed them, stating that he had been having an argument with his brother. 3. The unseen caller. Another perplexing aspect of these phone calls was the identity of the person on the other end of the line. Owen spoke to an unseen caller, using a tone that suggested fear and anxiety. He seemed compelled to answer the phone each time it rang, as if under duress. 4. Lipstick. Message. Perhaps the most chilling detail of this episode was the discovery made by the hotel staff when they entered room 1046. In addition to Owen's battered and bound state, they found a cryptic message scrawled on the walls in lipstick. It read, "For heaven's sake, catch me before I kill more. I cannot control myself." This macabre message only deepened the sense of dread surrounding the room. 5. No clarity. Despite being found in such a distressing state and amid such bizarre circumstances, Owen refused to provide any meaningful information about the caller or the events that had transpired in the room. He seemed unwilling or unable to shed light on the cryptic message, leaving investigators with more questions than answers. The disturbing phone calls from room 1046 added an even more sinister layer to the mystery. The source of the calls, the nature of the arguments, and the meaning behind the ominous message on the wall remained shrouded in mystery. Little did anyone know that this episode was just the beginning of a series of events that would lead to the shocking discovery of a brutal crime in room 1046, forever cementing its place in the annals of unsolved mysteries. On the fateful morning of January 4, 1935, the creepy murder in room 1046 took a horrifying turn when a hotel maid arrived at the room to deliver fresh towels. What she encountered inside would send shockwaves through the President Hotel and the city of Kansas City. 1. The hotel maid's discovery. As the hotel maid entered room 1046, she was met with a gruesome and chilling scene. Roland T. Owen, the enigmatic guest, was lying on the bed, battered and bound. He had been subjected to a brutal assault, with numerous injuries visible on his body. His wrists were bound together, and he had been gagged. 2. Bloodstains and signs of struggle. The room itself was in disarray, with signs of a violent struggle. Bloodstains were splattered across the walls, bedding, and furniture. It was evident that a vicious and prolonged attack had taken place within the confines of room 1046. 3. Cryptic message in lipstick. The most unsettling detail of this gruesome discovery was a message scrawled on the walls in lipstick. It read, "For heaven's sake, catch me before I kill more. I cannot control myself." This cryptic message echoed the earlier message found during the disturbing phone calls, raising more questions than answers. 4. Owen's dire condition. Roland T. Owen was barely alive when the hotel maid found him. He was in critical condition, with severe head injuries and multiple fractures. Despite his dire state, he was still conscious. It was as if he had clung to life just long enough to be discovered. 5. Emergency response. Hotel staff immediately called for medical assistance and the police. Owen was rushed to the hospital, where he would ultimately succumb to his injuries, leaving behind unanswered questions about his identity and the motive behind the brutal attack. The discovery of the battered and bound victim, along with the ominous message in lipstick, sent shockwaves through the President Hotel and the city. The anonymous visitor who had subjected Roland T. Owen to such a vicious attack had left no clear clues behind, leaving investigators with a perplexing and deeply unsettling crime scene. The enigma surrounding room 1046 would only deepen as authorities delved into the investigation, trying to unravel the mysteries that had unfolded within its walls. As Roland T. Owen lay in critical condition at the hospital, clinging to life after the brutal assault in room 1046, he uttered a series of cryptic statements that would only add to the intrigue of the creepy murder in room 1046. 1. References to Don or Donna. One of the most perplexing elements of Owen's dying words was his mention of a name, either Don or Donna. He repeatedly asked for this individual, and it became apparent that this person held some significance in his life or the events that had led to his assault. However, Owen provided no further context or explanation. 2. Allusions to a rat. In his moments of consciousness, Owen made references to a rat or rats. These utterances were equally enigmatic and left investigators puzzled. It was unclear whether he was speaking metaphorically or if he was alluding to an actual threat or individual. 3. Inability to explain. Despite being questioned by hospital staff and later by police detectives, Owen was unable or unwilling to provide a coherent narrative of the events leading up to his assault. His statements were disjointed and often contradictory, leaving investigators with a fragmented puzzle. 4. Fear and desperation. It was evident from Owen's demeanor and the tone of his statements that he was in a state of profound fear and desperation. He appeared genuinely terrified, as if he believed that someone was still after him, or that his life remained in jeopardy. 5. The message's influence. The cryptic message scrawled in lipstick on the walls of room 1046, which read, "For heaven's sake, catch me before I kill more. I cannot control myself," continued to haunt investigators. Owen's dying words seemed to be influenced by this message, suggesting that he may have been coerced or threatened by someone who used similar language. These cryptic dying words raised more questions than answers. Who was Don or Donna, and what role did they play in Owen's life or his ordeal? What did he mean by references to a rat? And was this a metaphor for a dangerous individual or something else entirely? The inability to extract clear information from Owen further deepened the mysteries surrounding his identity and the motive behind his brutal attack. As detectives sought to decipher the meaning behind these cryptic statements and unravel the tangled web of secrets and intrigues that had enveloped room 1046 and its ill-fated guest. Following the discovery of Roland T. Owen's battered and bound body, the Kansas City Police launched a comprehensive investigation into the enigmatic crime that had taken place in room 1046 of the President Hotel. This chapter details the complexities and challenges faced by investigators as they sought to unravel the mystery shrouding the case. 1. Identity of Roland T. Owen. One of the primary challenges faced by investigators was determining the true identity of the victim. Roland T. Owen was later revealed to be an alias, and his actual identity remained elusive. This initial hurdle complicated efforts to trace his background, contacts, and possible motives for the attack. 2. Witness statements. Detectives conducted extensive interviews with hotel staff and guests who had interacted with Owen during his stay. They gathered accounts of his bizarre behavior, the disturbing phone calls, and the late-night departures. Witnesses' descriptions of Owen's demeanor and the events in room 1046 painted a picture of a man in distress. 3. The anonymous visitor. Investigators faced the daunting task of identifying the anonymous visitor who had subjected Owen to the brutal assault. Despite collecting evidence from the crime scene, including the cryptic message in lipstick, there were no clear fingerprints or DNA to link to a suspect. The visitor seemed to have left no trace behind. 4. Forensic analysis. Forensic experts examined the crime scene for clues. Bloodstains, fingerprints, and other physical evidence were scrutinized, but the absence of modern forensic techniques in the 1930s limited the scope of their analysis. Their efforts were further hindered by the fact that Owen had been cleaned and dressed by someone before being found. 5. Missing personal items. Owen's meager belongings, including his clothing and toiletry kit, were examined for any potential clues. However, nothing was found that could shed light on his true identity or the motive behind the attack. His belongings seemed to have been deliberately kept minimal, adding to the mystery. 6. Public interest and speculation. The creepy murder in room 1046 garnered significant public interest, with newspapers and media outlets covering the case extensively. The lack of concrete leads fueled speculation, with numerous theories proposed by amateur sleuths and armchair detectives. Despite their best efforts, investigators faced a frustrating lack of progress. The case remained mired in uncertainty, with the true identity of the victim, the motive behind the attack, and the identity of the anonymous visitor remaining elusive. Room 1046 became a symbol of unsolved mysteries, drawing the attention of true crime enthusiasts and conspiracy theorists alike. Decades have passed since the gruesome events in room 1046 at the President Hotel, yet the case remains one of the most perplexing and chilling unsolved mysteries in American true crime history. This final chapter delves into the enduring enigmas that continue to haunt this notorious case. Perhaps the most enduring mystery of all is the true identity of the victim, known as Roland T. Owen. Despite exhaustive efforts by investigators, no concrete information about his background, family, or associates has ever been uncovered. The use of an alias and the absence of personal documents or belongings have kept his identity shrouded in darkness. The identity of the anonymous visitor who subjected Owen to a brutal assault remains a persistent puzzle. Despite witness statements and forensic examinations, no suspect was ever identified or apprehended. The assailant seemed to have vanished without a trace, leaving behind a crime scene with no clear leads. The cryptic messages left in room 1046, both in the form of phone calls and the lipstick message on the wall, continue to confound investigators and amateur sleuths. The meaning and intent behind these messages remain elusive. Were they the product of Owen's own fears and delusions, or were they orchestrated by someone with a sinister agenda? The motive behind the attack on Roland T. Owen remains a subject of speculation. The victim's cryptic statements and the enigmatic messages in the room offer little clarity. Was Owen the target of a personal vendetta, a case of mistaken identity, Or was he somehow connected to a hidden world of criminal activities? In the wake of Owen's death, a mysterious benefactor paid for his funeral and tombstone. The individual behind this gesture has never been identified or come forward to explain their actions. This act of kindness, tinged with secrecy, adds another layer of intrigue to the story. Over the years, the creepy murder in room 1046 has generated numerous conspiracy theories and speculations. Some suggest that Owen may have been involved in criminal activities or espionage, while others propose that he was the victim of a sadistic game. These theories persist, feeding the enduring fascination with the case. The case of room 1046 continues to captivate the minds of true crime enthusiasts, historians, and amateur sleuths. It has been the subject of books, documentaries, and countless online discussions. Despite the passage of time, the room itself remains an eerie and haunted location, its history forever marked by an unsolved murder. The creepy murder in room 1046 remains a testament to the enduring allure of unsolved mysteries. As time marches on, the case continues to defy resolution, leaving behind a chilling legacy that reminds us of the enigmatic and dark corners of the human experience. Room 1046 will forever stand as a symbol of the mysteries that persist beyond the reach of our understanding. The creepy murder in room 1046 stands as a chilling reminder of the mysteries that persist in the annals of true crime. Despite the passage of time, the case remains open, waiting for the day when the truth behind the murder is finally revealed. Until then, it remains one of the most perplexing and eerie unsolved mysteries in the history of American crime.